Measure C, the Fresno County transportation tax, expires in a few years. Now, several groups are working on a renewal plan, and just when a compromise was worked out with one group, another could present an alternative ballot measure. So on this Wire Wednesday, GV Wire senior reporter David Taub is joining us live from the GV Wire studios in Fresno to break it all down for us. Good morning, David, and thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Carl.
So tell us a little bit about the first compromise between Measure C and the Transportation for All. Who's in this group?
Transportation for All is a coalition of social justice groups. You have Fresno Building Healthy Communities, Faith in the Valley, the Leadership Council, so groups that are interested in social justice, environmental justice, and they wanted a voice at the table to the point where they were saying, well, you know what, if we don't get a voice at the table for this Measure C renewal, we may float our own idea for a ballot measure. And all the experts, including these two groups, said, you know what, if there are two ballot measures on the same ballot, both of them are probably going to fail. So they finally came to a compromise where the official Measure C folks said, you know what, we will give you a literal seat at our table. There's like a steering committee that will advise the eventual government groups on what plan they should vote on and put on the ballot. And so they're going to meet, they're going to have several meetings over the next couple months and formulate that plan.
And we also mentioned that there may be another group that's floating a ballot measure. Who's behind that one?
Well, some former folks from the Measure C executives, mainly Tony Boren and Mike Leonardo, they're definitely known within the Measure C community. Both of them were executive directors of the government organizations that controlled Measure C. Both of them retired in the last couple of years, but I spoke with Tony Boren, who used to be the executive director of the Fresno Council of Governments. I know a lot of government agencies we're talking about today, and it can be confusing, but Tony Boren was a pretty big player in Measure C. And he's told me, you know what, we just want a backup plan just in case this coalition doesn't present something that's palatable. You know, they tried the renewal in 2022. It failed, not necessarily because the social justice groups were against it, but because folks in North Fresno and Clovis thought, you know what, maybe this plan isn't something we were going to support, even though it's been supported throughout the history in 40 years of votes.
Now, I'm sure this will bring up a curious question for some people. What's going to happen if there are not one but two transportation tax measures on the same ballot?
Most people who know about elections about this stuff, if there are two ballot measures, both will fail. You know, the voters will see it, it's a little too confusing, and sometimes it's just easier to vote no. And there could be some grave consequences for cities and the county when it comes to transportation projects, whether that's road building, whether that's fixing sidewalks, bus transportation services. Both those could go. You know, Measure C folks have said over the 40 years of the tax, it's collected $2 billion directly in sales tax, but that $2 billion leads to $8 billion additional grant money from the federal government, from the state government. So you're talking about billions of dollars at stake here if Measure C does not get renewed.
And for those who may not know, in order to get something on the ballot, what is the process in order to get this on the ballot?
There are two major ways. One is a government organization can vote to put on the ballot. That'd mainly be the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. If they do that, then it needs 2/3 approval from the voters. Now, if you collect enough signatures, it's approximately going to take 21,000 valid signatures, then you only need a majority to vote. And that's a lot lower threshold. In 2022, in the renewal, voters approved it by 58%, but it did not pass because you needed 2/3, 66.6% to pass. So yeah, getting the signatures is an easier way to go, but that still costs a lot of money to collect those signatures.
Sounds great. Well, David Taub with GV Wire, thank you so much for joining us on this Wire Wednesday and breaking everything down for us on the future of Measure C.